That's right. I'd like to ask you 4 questions that if you do choose to answer them, they might just change your life. Before I do that, though, I'd like to ask these questions as if we were in a court of law tonight. While the customs change around the world, typically when you come in a court of law to give testimony, you have to take an oath or a promise of telling the truth. It goes something like this. You take your left hand and place it on a standard of truth, Bible, book of law. You raise your right hand and you say something like this. I, Timothy MacDonald, promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Or you plug in the blank. Could we all do that tonight? Why don't you stand up and join me in this, all right? I'd like you to take your left hand and place it on a standard of truth, likely going to be your iPhone tonight. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me. Fill in the blank. Great. Have a seat. Have a seat. All right. With that, I'd like to share with you these questions. First question. Why are you? Second question. What do you believe? Next question. Why do you believe what you believe? The last question, what is your strategy to live out your beliefs? I was asked a few years ago to give a day of leadership development to a number of GMs, general managers that were coming into Nanjing for a 3-day strategy session. And I decided to ask them these very questions. I had never done it before, and I simply was interested to hear what other leaders would do with these questions. Because I had been wrestling with these questions for more than 30 years. I had no idea how they would respond, if they would respond. Well, the results actually proved to be pretty profound. One interesting thing, out of the whole group, only one out of the whole group had ever come close to answering these types of questions. Since then, I've asked these same questions to many people. I'm now in the hundreds of people here in China that I've asked them to. Some are leaders of large multinational companies, all the way down to line leaders in the shop floor of a factory, everybody in between. I've asked them to university students, entrepreneurs, and very similarly to that first group, I find that well over 90% have never processed these types of questions in their life. Why not? I'll tell you my take on it. Life is way too busy, too complex to deal with these type of questions. And the busyness actually starts way back in kindergarten or pre-K. And it rolls right on through primary school and middle school and high school, on to the university. Your first job, your first marriage, kids, promotions, move from this position to this position, one country to another. Never taking time to just pause and ask some of these basic life questions. So here we are. How about you? Have you ever asked these types of questions of yourself? If you haven't, congratulations. You're in the high majority. And for the few that have, since I've been asking these questions of others, I've watched as some people really engage and they thoughtfully process through their responses. They come out changed on the other side. The CEO of a larger medical insurance company asked me to come and do this same talk with her leadership team. I did. 2 months later, she called and asked, "Hey, Tim, could you come and have lunch with me in Shanghai?" I did. And as she started the lunch, she said, "Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to tell you." "Yeah, what?" She says, "I've resigned." "You resigned?" been CEO for 12 years. She's 38 years old. She grew the company up from nothing. She goes, you know, those questions just helped to solidify what I was already processing. I've just realized my work here is done, and it's time for me to move on. And move on she did. The last 18 months, I get texts from her from all around the world. One day, I'm in Venice today. Wow, what an amazing city. Another time, I'm on the Isle of Skye today. 3 days ago, she texted me, I'm at Stanford University. She's packing school. Just before the Chinese New Year, 3 weeks ago, I was at a government dinner, and a young manager saw me, and he came up and he said, oh, Tim, I just wanted to let you know that I've been processing through those questions, and it's changing me. Not only me, but my wife and my parents and my friends that I've shared these questions with. So let's do it tonight. Let's just take these one at a time. First question, why are you? What an odd little question. Even if English is your first language, that's just awkward. Why are you here tonight? Why are you a student? Why are you a teacher? A leader? Why are you married? Why are you single? Why are you married and wish you were single? You get it, right? It's the why do you exist question. What's your purpose? Let's move on to the next question. What do you believe? I'll never forget asking these questions to a group of general managers, and one woman was from a European country, and when I asked this question, she clearly had a bit of angst in her voice. I think she was still upset by the first question. I asked this question, what do you believe? She goes, is this a religious question? Well, not necessarily. But what you do with a God question impacts all the other responses downstream. What do you believe about God? What do you believe about money? What do you believe about education? About work? About your family? Whether you've ever taken time to write out your beliefs or not, one thing's true. Your beliefs drive you. They drive you to spend your money, spend your time, spend your energy. Your life lines up behind your beliefs, stated or not. Obviously, if 90+% are not answering these questions, they're moving on with life. It's not causing them to roll over and die. For example, if you believe that education is the secret to happiness, then you're probably going to gain as much education as possible. In this room tonight, there are plenty of examples. Many of you have gotten your undergraduate degree, and many have gotten their master's or multiple master's degrees. Perhaps a few have gotten their PhDs. So the question, did your belief deliver the results? Did the degrees that you've achieved allow you to work in a job that you absolutely enjoy and you love? I'm sure for many of you, it's absolutely yes. And then for a few of us, maybe not. A colleague of mine achieved a PhD in chemical engineering, mainly because his parents believed more education, better life. He believed good to honor your parents. The only snag in the equation, he actually didn't like chemistry. But he just kept on pursuing and just kept on gaining more education. Sadly, he's in his late 30s, he's never worked in that field. Let's go on to the next question. Why do you believe what you believe? While few people seem to know what they believe, far fewer know why they believe what they believe. Why is that? Well, maybe we just don't have opportunity to explore what we really believe. Have opportunity to share our beliefs and listen to other beliefs and practice our beliefs. Apart from maybe giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down on your Facebook page or a smiley emoticon or a frowny emoticon, we just don't find those pockets of community to be able to hear and listen and share what our beliefs are. And if you're not able to vocalize your beliefs, or perhaps write them down, I question, do you know what you really believe? One of my favorite undergraduate classes, although it was the most grueling, was actually a class on ethics. And during the course of the semester, we were required to produce 20 papers on varying topics. Euthanasia, what constitutes marriage? Is there a just war? When does life begin? Many, many others. And to produce the paper, you had to read varying views and opinions on each of these topics. And then you had to stick it or land, what do I believe? Based on all of my research and my learning, and what do I believe? And you had to state why you believed it. Perhaps you've taken a course like that. If it were up to me, everybody would have to take that course. Because what that course did for me was trigger me to really want to know the answer to these questions. What I believe and why I believe that. And I find myself still on that course today. Because probably like you, the more knowledge I get, the more experience I get with my beliefs, I practice them, they work, they don't work. I realize I calibrate as I go along. More understanding gives more opportunity to change your beliefs. And then some beliefs haven't changed at all. Some of the beliefs that I wrote out in that class on ethics, I still believe even more strongly today. Because now I've had 30 years of experience to apply them and try them and realize these really are true. All right, last question. What is your strategy to live out your beliefs? If you know what you believe, why you believe that, the real fun is putting them to use, applying them in every area of your life. That's where the joy begins to happen, when we live in agreement with what we really believe. One of my beliefs, everybody's redeemable. You make a mistake, you can recognize it was a mistake, you say you're sorry, and you get back to the path and try to do it right. One of my beliefs. A colleague and I were coming back from a business dinner just about 3 years ago. I was driving, we just pulled away from the light, and into the periphery of my left side came this car, came flying in and smashed into the car I was driving. Just the results. After I came to, because it knocked me out, after I came to, I had lost my vision. I was just trying to assess the damage of me. I'm listening to my colleague in the seat next to me. He was gasping for air. It was not pretty. And it wasn't fun. It was called a bad night. Thankfully, my vision came back in very short order. And although we sustained minor injuries, we both recovered extremely well. The driver of the other car that night, he was living out his belief that it's okay to drink and then drive. Although in this country, that's totally illegal. And because it's illegal, the insurance companies have zero obligation to pay for any of the damages. The police advised me the only way I could recoup my losses was to sue both the driver and the insurance companies. So I did. Several months later, I find myself in court, Chinese court. Lawyers on both sides. There's the judge up top. In comes the driver, now a prisoner for several months. He shuffles in because he's ankle bracelets and handcuffs. After 3 hours, it was decided that the family, actually quite a poor family, was in his car, didn't have the resource to pay the damages. So the insurance companies agreed to pay a bit. The family paid all that they had, but I was still short about 50% of what was due. So the hearing was about to close when through my lawyer, I asked the judge, so what would happen if I just accepted the insurance money, I accepted the money from the family, and call it quits? The judge looked at me really shocked. He said, well, if you do that, the debt's paid, and the prisoner will be set free, and case is closed. I thought for a minute, that's what I want to do. He couldn't believe it. The judge couldn't believe it. The lawyers couldn't believe it. The whole room came alive. Literally, the judge pushed the court recorder out of the way. He sat down at the computer and he typed up the deal. He typed up the agreement. We all agreed to it. The prisoner is going to be set free. Just before we vacated the courtroom, I asked the judge, would you mind if I just said a couple things to the driver, the prisoner? He said, absolutely not, absolutely. He commanded the driver, stand up, face him. I mean, he was not being nice. And here's the scene. This is in the courtroom. And I simply said to this man, I said, you know, before you leave, I just wanted you to meet my family. You can see I've got my laptop open, introducing to my family, because they're all really happy that I'm alive tonight. And I just thought you might want to meet them before you leave. And I just want to say one thing before you go. I totally forgive you. Not just for the money, but I totally forgive you for almost killing me. I just thought you might want to know. I closed the laptop. Closed the laptop. The whole courtroom erupted in cheers and applause, and I was shocked. When everything simmered down, the judge said, wow, Mr. MacDonald, you must be very educated. No, not really. I've just made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I've been forgiven many times over. You know what? Unfortunately, it takes an incident that sometimes is dramatic to prove out our beliefs are either in sync with our life or they're not in sync with our life. I married when I was 26 years old. Beautiful girl. Very smart, very funny. I was so happy to marry her. Shortly after we married, I started my career. And I found out I had another love. I loved to work. And that I did. And while I really believed in being a good husband and later a good father, I really believed in working hard too. And I just wasn't around that much. I worked a lot of hours and I traveled a lot. And little did I know, 14 short years later, my wife would die at age 40. After she died, life was a mess. And literally, as I'm cleaning up, going through things, I stumbled across some notes that she had written, but never put into the mail. One was to a school friend. Hey, everything's going great. Kids are doing fine. Tim just got another promotion. I'd do anything to have more of that guy's time. Boom! Oh, I felt like I was kicked so hard. And instantly out of my mouth came these words, God, if you ever give me another wife, I'll do it differently. 1 year later, he did. And I have. You know, a lot of people seem to be afraid to talk about their beliefs. Because sometimes we just don't want to offend other people if they believe differently than us. So we just don't talk about our beliefs. And essentially, we become belief-starved. But I'd like to call you back into the courtroom of truth and encourage you to know, why are you alive? What do you believe? Why do you believe those things? And then go live it. Adjust and calibrate as you go. It certainly isn't too early to start. And it definitely is not too late. Thank you very much.